You ever have that feeling like your life is a sitcom with the laugh track turned off? That's what it felt like living with Ashley. On paper, we were great. You've probably seen couples like us before. He's a steady guy with a stable job. She's pretty, social, always knows where the cool wine bars are. We lived in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. Two-story home, brick facade, lawn that I actually mowed myself every Saturday morning. Real Rockwell stuff. Except it wasn't. Ashley and I had been married 6 years. No kids. Not because we didn't want them, but because she said, not yet. Every year like she was waiting for a sign from the heavens, or maybe just a better man. I used to think she was mysterious, like there was some deep well of thought behind those long silences. Turns out, she just didn't have much to say unless it was about herself. Still, I loved her. God help me, I really did. I was the guy who made coffee every morning and left post-its with dumb little jokes on the fridge. You're the only Ashley I'll ever smash lay. Stuff like that. She used to laugh. Then she stopped. Somewhere along the way, her smile turned into this tight, PR smile, like the kind you'd give your boss at the office holiday party. Polite, distant, and utterly bored. At first, I chalked it up to stress. She was working more hours, staying late at the firm. She's a real estate attorney, good at her job, always on the phone, always closing deals. I believed her, not because I'm stupid, because I wanted to. The funny thing is, when you're in it, when you're deep in the day-to-day of a life you helped build, you don't want to admit something's off. You tell yourself it's a phase. You tell yourself the spark fades for everyone. You keep showing up. You keep loving them, even when they're a ghost living in your house. And then there were the details. She changed her phone password, said something about IT policy at work, stopped texting me during the day, or before she'd send me little updates. Now I'd get nothing but silence. We went from watching Netflix on the couch every night to her claiming she had emails to catch up on upstairs. Her laugh, the one I used to love so much, came out only around other people now. Never with me. I brought it up once. Just once. We were doing dishes. Well, I was doing dishes. She was half scrolling, half listening. I asked her if she was happy. Simple question. You'd think the answer would be simple, too. She blinked at me like I'd asked her to solve quantum physics and said, why wouldn't I be? Which, by the way, is not an answer. It's a dodge. It's what you say when you want someone to stop asking questions. Still, I did what most guys do. I buried it. Pushed the unease down. Focused on my job, my workouts, the garage remodel I'd been promising myself for 2 years. That's the thing about men like me. We keep fixing the house while the foundation's rotting. I started noticing little things. Receipts in her purse from places I hadn't been. A new pair of sunglasses I'd never seen before. One day, I found a charging cable in her car for a phone she didn't own. When I asked her about it, she gave me the most casual lie I've ever heard. Oh, that's old. From my sister's visit. Ashley's sister lives in Oregon. She hadn't visited in over a year. I didn't press it. That's on me. There was one night, though. That night changed everything. We were at a neighbor's barbecue, and I watched her light up talking to some guy. Jake, I think his name was. A friend of the host, divorced, finance bro type with a Rolex tan and a gym membership that screamed midlife crisis. The way she laughed at his jokes, I hadn't seen that version of her in years. I watched them from across the yard, drink in hand, fake smiling at some dad who was showing me photos of his grill. But my eyes were locked on her. She didn't touch him, didn't even stand too close. But you know what I mean when I say it was intimate. The kind of conversation where they were both leaning in just a little more than necessary, sharing looks that were just a little too long. And when she caught me watching, she smiled. Not sheepishly, not with guilt, but like I was a stranger at the edge of a room she didn't want to be in. That smile stayed with me. That's when I knew. I didn't have proof. Not yet. But I knew. That night, I sat in the garage after she went to bed. Just me and a warm beer and that old camping chair I keep meaning to throw out. I thought about everything. The lies, the distance, the coldness. I thought about the vows we said in that little chapel on a rainy spring afternoon 6 years ago. And I decided something. I wasn't going to play dumb anymore. I didn't tell her. Didn't ask her anything. I smiled, played along, acted like everything was fine. Because if she was hiding something, I wanted her to feel safe. Comfortable. Because that's when people make mistakes. She thought she had me fooled. She thought I was the good husband. The safe husband. The guy who wouldn't notice. But Ashley had forgotten one important thing. I pay attention. And I was about to uncover the truth. Not through her phone, not through her friends, and not through some cheap GPS tracker. No, I had a plan. Something real. Something smart. Something she'd never see coming. But that's for tomorrow. They say routine is the death of passion. That's nonsense. Routine is how you spot betrayal. Take our Sunday mornings. Ashley always woke up before me, except she didn't. She used to. Lately, I'd find her still in bed when I got up to brew coffee, pretending to be asleep. No stretching, no checking her phone, just lying there like someone who knew eyes were on her. Then there was the gym. She never used to go in the mornings. Now it was 3 times a week, 6 a.m. sharp. Always came home looking like she'd just walked out of a Lululemon catalog, not a single hair out of place. I'd ask how her workout went, and she'd shrug like I was a TSA agent asking what she packed in her carry-on. But this isn't about gym schedules or bad vibes. This is about what happened one Tuesday afternoon that cracked it all wide open, and not in the way you're thinking. I was working from home. My company had gone hybrid, and I liked the peace and quiet of our house during the day. Except that day, the peace broke around 2:15 p.m. when the doorbell rang. We don't get many weekday visitors unless someone's delivering a package Ashley forgot to mention she ordered. I opened the door and found a kid, maybe 22, baseball cap, nervous energy, holding a thin manila folder. "You Anthony Ross?" "I am." He shoved the folder at me. "Here, this is for you." "No, good afternoon." "No, please sign." Just a quick nod and a beeline back to his Toyota Corolla. I stood on the porch flipping the folder in my hands. No return address, no label, just my name in handwriting that looked like it belonged to someone who hadn't written on paper in years. I took it inside, shut the door, and sat at the kitchen table. Now here's where it gets weird. Inside the folder was a printout, about 20 pages, clipped together. The first page was a work order, a tech support request submitted by Ashley, not to her office's IT department, but to an outside freelance contractor. It was for data migration and recovery from partially damaged laptop hard drive. I stared at the name of the tech, Tyler Merriman. Didn't ring a bell. I flipped to the next page. It was a chat log between Ashley and Tyler. You could tell it had been exported directly from some support ticket system. Pretty standard at first. He asks what the issue is. She explains that her work laptop crashed and she needs some files recovered for a presentation. But then the tone shifts. Ashley starts asking if Tyler does private jobs. Off-the-record stuff. She says, "I've got a personal device I need looked at too. It's delicate." That was the word she used. Delicate. She even told him to email her at a personal Gmail address. I turned the page. Next was the email printout. A string of back and forths between Ashley and Tyler. He's clearly just some college-age IT kid trying to make extra cash. She tells him not to mention anything to her firm and offers him double his rate for discretion. Then came the line that made my stomach turn. "Can you remove the traces of certain messages?" I deleted them from my phone, but I want to be sure they're gone. Some stuff with an old friend got a little messy. Old friend. I kept reading. She gave Tyler a USB stick and asked him to clean up anything stored on it from the recovered drive. She even joked in one of the emails, "You should probably delete these emails when this is over," smiley face. Spoiler alert, Tyler did not delete the emails. There were screenshots next. Not of the messages she wanted gone. No, those were probably lost to the digital graveyard, but of the recovered file list from her device. Hundreds of saved files. Some of them innocuous, spreadsheets, property documents, random PDFs. But one folder stood out. _condo_docs_view. We don't own a condo. Never have. Then I saw the subfolders, each with a date. Every Friday for the past 2 months. Inside those, audio files. MP3s. Now look, I'm not a detective, but I've watched enough Dateline to know you don't hide audio files in mislabeled folders unless you're up to something dirty. The last few pages Tyler gave me? A short note scribbled in the margins. I didn't want to get involved, but she told me the laptop belonged to her late father. When I realized there were recordings of someone named Ash and Caleb, I figured you'd want to know. I tracked down your address using public property records. Sorry if that's invasive. Ash and Caleb. The name Caleb hit me like a brick. Caleb Sutter. I hadn't heard that name in years. He and Ashley were classmates at Ohio State. She used to refer to him as her college what-if. You know, those people you never date, but have just enough history with to make your spouse uncomfortable. The last time I saw him was 4 years ago at a dinner party. He'd just moved back to Columbus. Clean cut, shiny shoes, the kind of guy who orders martinis at sports bars. They exchanged a too long hug, and I remember Ashley laughing a little too hard at his jokes that weren't funny. I asked her if he still had a thing for her. She rolled her eyes and said, "Anthony, stop being jealous. Caleb's harmless." Well, harmless now had a file folder and secret emails to go with it. Here's where the story goes sideways, in a way Ashley never saw coming. I didn't confront her. Not that day. Not the next. I smiled. I kissed her goodbye before work. I let her think the world was still spinning like normal. Because I needed more. So I reached out to Tyler. Kid was reluctant. Told me he didn't want trouble. I told him there wouldn't be any. I just wanted access to the files. He agreed. Under one condition, I don't involve him. Fine by me. I didn't care if he was delivering pizzas or on a bus to Canada. He'd done more for me than Ashley ever had. That night, I listened to the recordings. Each one was a conversation between Ashley and Caleb, usually inside a car. There was laughter, banter, and, most damningly, plans. Specific times and places. Caleb joking about how your husband's probably alphabetizing his tools in the garage right now. Her laughing. Her saying, "You know he still asks me if I'm happy?" There it was. The truth. She wasn't just cheating. She was mocking me while doing it. But here's the kicker. The recording I found from 2 weeks ago. They were talking about a weekend trip. Ashley said she was taking a solo retreat to clear her head. She told me it was some real estate women's networking retreat in upstate Michigan. Turns out it was a lake house Caleb's brother owned. That same lake house is on Instagram. Public. And guess who tagged the location last month with a caption that read, "Best weekend in a long time"? Caleb. No faces, just a photo of 2 glasses of wine on the porch railing. But one glass had coral lipstick on the rim. I know that lipstick. It's in our bathroom drawer. So now I had what I needed. I didn't find out through her phone. Didn't follow her. Didn't hire a private investigator or get a tip from some gossipy neighbor. I found out because she trusted the wrong 22-year-old tech nerd and thought labeling audio files as condo docs was clever. Turns out, routine isn't what kills love. It's what reveals the rot. Now it was my turn to plan something. But I wouldn't be texting Caleb. I wouldn't be begging for an explanation. I wasn't interested in listening to her cry, apologize, or play the victim. I wasn't going to blow up. I was going to get precise. Because when someone thinks you're too stupid to notice, they never expect you to outsmart them. And Ashley? She had no idea what was coming next. You know the funny thing about catching someone lying to your face? Once you know, you see every line they've rehearsed. Every casual phrase, every deflection. It's all just a low-budget stage play, and suddenly you're in the front row with the script in your hands, watching them fumble through it, oblivious to the fact that the lights have already gone out. That week, Ashley was glowing. No, not guilty, glowing. Something about her felt lighter. She smiled more. She sang while cooking, which she hadn't done in months. At first I thought it was nerves. But now, I realized it was relief. She thought I was still in the dark. That whatever little secret summer she'd had with Caleb was boxed up and buried. Good. Let her think that. Because I had a plan. And it started with a dinner party. Yeah, I know. Sounds like something out of a Martha Stewart article. 10 ways to host your neighbors and emotionally ambush your spouse. But it worked. Because when you need to expose the truth without saying a word, you build a room where the silence does it for you. Ashley always loved entertaining. Fancy wine, mood lighting, charcuterie boards arranged like architecture. I let her run the show, played the loving husband role so well I deserved a damn Oscar. "This is nice," she said, standing back to admire the table she'd just set. "We haven't done this in a while." "Nope," I replied, swirling my glass. "Thought it'd be fun. Shake things up." "Who's all coming again?" she asked. "Oh, just the usual suspects. Peter and Kara, Amanda from your firm, and a surprise guest." She gave me a look, half curious, half skeptical. "Surprise guest. You'll see." She didn't press. She never did. When you're married to someone long enough, they learn when to poke and when to shut up. At 7 o'clock on the dot, Peter and Kara showed up with a bottle of red and some over-the-top compliments about our new patio lights. Ashley was laughing, pouring drinks, in full hostess mode. For a moment, if you didn't know any better, you'd think this was just a nice little suburban dinner among friends. At 7:20, Amanda arrived, all corporate smiles and wine teeth. Ashley pulled her aside for some gossip, and I took the opportunity to sneak into the kitchen and double-check the final detail of my setup, the guest list email. You see, earlier that week, I'd used Ashley's laptop to send the invites. She told me to just add her on CC and blind copy everyone else. Except I didn't. I left one name in plain view. Caleb Sutter. Not only that, I set the RSVP so replies came to her inbox. She never noticed. Or maybe she did and assumed he'd never come. That was mistake number one. At 7:43, the doorbell rang. Ashley was in the dining room, arguing with Amanda about the merits of cooking with avocado oil. I called out, "I got it." There he was. Caleb. Khakis, navy blazer, smug as ever. He held up a bottle of wine like we were long-lost pals from college. "Hey man, didn't know I made the cut," he said. "Of course you did," I replied, keeping my face calm. "It wouldn't be the same without you." I motioned for him to come in, and for just a second, just one small second, I saw the flicker of hesitation in his eyes, like maybe something didn't feel quite right. But he walked in anyway. Mistake number two. Ashley saw him before she heard him. She was mid-laugh when she turned and froze. Her whole body tensed like a deer hearing the click of a camera. "Oh my God," she said, too loud, too fake. "Caleb, what are you?" "You invited him, remember?" I said, loud enough for the table to hear. A long silence felt like someone had cut the music mid-song. Kara blinked between us. Amanda shifted uncomfortably in her seat, and Peter poured more wine like it was his patriotic duty to stay drunk. Ashley fumbled for composure. "I didn't think you'd actually come." "Surprise," Caleb said, with that used car salesman grin. I turned to the table. "Let's eat, shall we?" The meal was served. Roast chicken, asparagus, potatoes. Tasted like cardboard. I barely ate. Nobody said much. Everyone could feel it. That weird, electric silence humming just under the surface. Like a landmine waiting for the wrong step. At one point, Kara leaned to Ashley and whispered something. Ashley smiled through clenched teeth and excused herself to the kitchen. I gave it a full 10 seconds before following her in. She was pacing, her wine glass untouched on the counter. "What the hell is he doing here?" she hissed. "You invited him." "No, I didn't." "Why would I?" "You should check your sent folder," I said, walking past her and opening the wine drawer. Ashley's face drained. "You added him." "Technically you did. I just didn't take him off." "You're unbelievable." "That's rich," I said, turning to face her. "From you." She crossed her arms, her voice low and venomous. "You're trying to humiliate me." "No," I said. "I'm giving you a chance to show off your acting skills. Let's see how well you handle tension when it's not behind my back." Ashley looked like she wanted to scream, but didn't. She straightened, brushed her hands down her blouse, and walked back out like nothing happened. Impressive. We made it through dessert, barely. Amanda pretended to be too full for pie. Caleb suddenly remembered an early meeting. He left with the kind of speed reserved for fire drills and angry exes. I watched Ashley watch him leave. That was mistake number 3. After everyone was gone, she started cleaning up in silence. She didn't say a word as she stacked plates, wiped counters, put away leftovers. I stood there, watching her like she was a painting I couldn't quite interpret anymore. Finally, she turned to me. "Why? Why what? Why'd you do that?" I shrugged. "Why'd you lie about Michigan? Why'd you call him your what if, and then make him your right now?" Her eyes flared. "You went through my stuff?" "Nope. It came to me. Literally. Folder, doorstep, courtesy of one of your little digital cleanup projects gone wrong." Her mouth opened, then closed. I stepped closer. "I know everything, Ashley. The files, the emails, the recordings, all of it." Her whole body went still. "You didn't tell me," I said, calm now. "You didn't come clean. You didn't have a breakdown. You just enjoyed it. And you thought I'd never find out." She dropped the dish towel. "It wasn't." "Don't," I said. "Don't insult both of us." She looked at me like she wanted to say 100 things, but couldn't find even one. "You're going to ask me what this means. Where we go from here. If I want a divorce." I leaned in. "But I'm not doing any of that tonight." "Then what?" I smiled. "Just barely. I'm just getting started." I walked out of the kitchen and left her standing there, surrounded by the wreckage of a dinner that wasn't supposed to be a war zone. Not that it mattered. The war was already over. She just didn't know which side won yet. You ever watch someone realize, in real time, that they've bet on the wrong horse? That was Ashley on the Monday after our dinner party. She was quiet. Not in the cold shoulder way. More like she was trying to feel out the temperature of the room. Like she couldn't tell if I was the same idiot she'd been to timing or something else entirely. She hovered around me that morning like a sitcom wife pretending nothing happened, waiting for a laugh track that never came. "Want me to pick up dinner?" she asked, pouring coffee with hands that shook just slightly. "No thanks," I said, flipping through a magazine I had no intention of reading. "I've got plans." Pause. She tried again. "You going out?" "I am." "With who? Does it matter?" She didn't press. Smart girl. Because she knew. I was different now. I wasn't poking around for clues or trying to read between the lines. I'd already read the ending. I was just turning the pages until she caught up. And that day, I'd planned something special. It started with a call to an old friend of mine from college, Greg Temple. Greg worked in property staging and real estate marketing now. Had a full-blown media company, the kind that takes dull houses and makes them look like they belong in luxury living catalogs. Drones, lighting, social media ads, you name it. Greg owed me a favor. I told him I needed to host a mock open house. Not a real one. Not for an actual listing. Just a staged tour, like the kind used to train new agents. Fake buyers, fake paperwork. But I wanted it in our house. And I wanted Ashley to see it. "Oh man," Greg laughed, already sensing the twist. "You finally going full petty bachelor." Something like that. I told him the details. He said he could have the crew over that Saturday. Ashley had brunch plans with her college friends, and I knew she'd be gone most of the afternoon. Perfect. Greg brought in his team Friday night. They worked fast, set dressers, lighting people, even a stand-in couple to act like they were shopping. They brought props, brochures, listing sheets with professional photos, and a QR code that linked to a mock, pending page with our address and a fake price. $489,900. Slightly below market. Looked real. While the crew staged, I did my part. Took down every personal photo of us. Removed anything that screamed, "We live here." Swapped our wedding picture for a generic stock image of a happy couple on a couch. Everything was spotless. Saturday morning, I told Ashley I was heading to Home Depot and might grab lunch with Peter after. She barely looked up from her phone. "Okay, don't forget we need more laundry pods." She left at 11:05 a.m. I watched from the upstairs window as her car pulled out of the driveway. Game time. Greg and the crew arrived at 11:20. By noon, the open house sign was on the lawn. From the street, you wouldn't think anything was off. Just a house for sale. Flyers in a box, cars parked out front, people milling around. Our stand-in couple walked through twice, whispering and pointing like serious buyers. Someone even took a fake phone call from a mortgage officer. Inside, it looked legit. I wore a navy blazer, stood by the kitchen island, and smiled like the man of the hour. I handed out flyers, answered questions, and even gave someone directions to the nearest coffee shop, just to sell the illusion. Around 1:17 p.m., I got the text I'd been waiting for. "Ashley, are you kidding me?" She'd seen it. I pictured her driving home, sunroof cracked, iced coffee in the cup holder, scrolling through Instagram at a red light like she always did, and suddenly freezing. There it was, a geotag post from a friend of a friend who lived nearby. Cute little open house down the street. Great staging. Might come back with Doug later. Eyes #house goals. Photo. The front of our house. Ashley pulled up 20 minutes later, tires screeching. She parked half on the lawn, jumped out, and practically sprinted to the front door. I was waiting. Her voice hit the entryway before she did. "What the hell is going on?" I gave her a big smile. "Welcome home." She blinked at the crew, the lights, the couple flipping through our junk mail like it was a feature wall. "What is this?" She snapped. "Oh, this," I said. "Just a professional demo with Greg's company. You remember Greg, right? He did that promo shoot for your firm's holiday mixer." She turned to Greg, eyes wide. "You're staging our home." Greg sipped his coffee. "Not really staging. More like running a mock training session. All pretend. Just for content." Ashley looked back at me. "This is a joke." "No, Ash," I said calmly. "The joke is that you thought I wouldn't notice what you've been doing. The joke is you sneaking off to lake houses and thinking you covered your tracks with a smile and a post-it note grocery list." I stepped closer. "You want a life with Caleb? Be my guest. But it won't be in this house. I'm not going to argue or fight or cry in a therapist's office. I'm going to make it easy for you." She tried to speak. I cut her off. "I'm selling it." "What?" "This house." I'm listing it. I've already spoken to a real agent. You'll get your half. You can take it, start over, whatever. But you won't be staying here. You don't have the right. I do. I own the deed. Check the paperwork. Remember when we refinanced? You were too busy to sign the co-title forms. Guess what that means? Her mouth opened. No sound. You can lawyer up if you want, I added. But it won't change the outcome. You cheated. You lied. You mocked me while doing it. I'm not sticking around to be the last guy at the party who didn't know the music stopped. Greg motioned to the fake buyers. Hey, can we wrap early? Think we hit our shots. I gave him a thumbs up. The crew packed up. Ashley just stood there, frozen in the hallway like someone watching her childhood home go up in flames. And then came the cherry on top. As the crew left, the fake couple, a real-life pair of Greg's friends from his acting class, turned to Ashley and said, "Sorry if we made a mess. Love the layout, though. You two are selling for real." I jumped in. Yup, just got a job offer in Denver. Ashley turned to me, stunned. What? I shrugged. Life moves fast. I let her stand there in the middle of the foyer we used to decorate together every Christmas. I let her take it all in. The missing photos, the perfect pillows, the box of brochures on the table titled "A Clean Break, Fresh Start in Suburbia." I walked upstairs, took a shower, and when I came back down, she was gone. Didn't slam the door. Didn't throw anything. She just left. Exactly the way I wanted it. Ashley didn't come back that night. Which, honestly, made things easier. I watched a documentary about people who faked their own deaths and fell asleep on the couch with half a bag of popcorn on my chest. Woke up the next morning to find her wedding ring sitting on the edge of the kitchen counter next to the junk drawer, like some passive-aggressive punctuation mark. I left it there. A whole week passed before I saw her again. No texts. No calls. Not even a courtesy email about the house or the so-called Caleb of it all. I'd started to assume she was gone for good. Probably holed up in a borrowed apartment, eating pad thai with a guy who used phrases like "circle back" in bed. Then she showed up. Friday, 6:03 p.m. Still light out, barely. I just pulled into the driveway from work when I saw her parked out front in that silver SUV her firm leased. She stepped out like she didn't know what she was doing there, like her feet had driven her without permission from her brain. I sat in my car for a moment, watching her watch the house. She didn't wave, just waited. Eventually, I got out and walked over. No hug, no hi. Just one of those tense silences where you can feel a conversation already loading in the air. "You got a minute?" she asked. I unlocked the door and motioned her inside. Funny how fast a house stops feeling like yours once someone poisons it. The walls were still the same. The carpet still had that weird dent from where the old coffee table used to sit. But everything felt artificial now, like a showroom set I hadn't asked to live in. Ashley sat on the armrest of the couch. Not the couch itself. Like she wasn't sure if she had the right anymore. I stood across from her. She looked like she hadn't slept much. Eyes puffy. Makeup faded like she'd tried, and then quit halfway through. "I've been trying to think of what to say," she said. "Try the truth," I offered. She hesitated. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen." Classic. "No, I mean, Caleb, it wasn't some plan. It wasn't something I plotted. I didn't wake up one morning and think, hey, I'd like to detonate my marriage today. It just happened. That's what everyone says right before they torch their lives." Her lips pressed together. "I'm not proud of it," she went on. "I know I should have told you. I didn't know how. You were always so steady. So good. And I started feeling like a fraud next to you." I raised an eyebrow. "So your solution to feeling like a fraud was to become one?" She flinched, but nodded. "Maybe." I crossed my arms. "Let me guess. Caleb made you feel alive again. Made you laugh. Saw the real you. Gave you something you hadn't felt in years." Silence. "Yeah. Thought so." Ashley looked down. "He listened." I let out a bitter laugh. "You mean he acted like he listened? There's a difference. You think someone being fascinated with your problems means they understand you? Of course he listened. He didn't have to live with you." She looked up at me then. "So what is this? You wanted to humiliate me? The dinner party. The fake open house. Is this all revenge?" "No," I said, and meant it. It was clarity. Clarity. I needed to see how far you'd go before telling the truth. I got my answer. She looked genuinely confused. "So what now?" "Now? That's the question, isn't it?" I took a deep breath and finally sat down, on the opposite armrest. "We separate the accounts. We finalize the sale. You keep your car, I keep mine. No lawyers unless you want to contest the deed. Her mouth opened. Just like that. Just like that. What about us? There's no us, Ashley. Her face cracked then. Just a little. But we were good, she said softly. We had something. You can't pretend we didn't. I'm not pretending, I said. I'm just not carrying the past around like it still belongs to me. I don't want it to end like this. I smiled. Ashley, it already ended. You just weren't paying attention. She wiped under her eye. You really meant it? You're leaving Ohio. I got a job offer in Denver. Better pay. New start. I accepted this morning. You're running away. No. I'm walking away. Big difference. She stared at the wall for a while. Then, as if it were some final confession, she muttered. It wasn't just Caleb. I didn't flinch. She waited for me to react. I didn't give her the satisfaction. I figured, I said. You had that look. What look? The look of someone who's gotten too good at burying secrets. You start mistaking it for confidence. But you're not confident. You're just exhausted. That one hit. She stood. Slowly. Like someone leaving a funeral. I'll text you, she said, avoiding eye contact. No need. Just sign the escrow docs when they come. She nodded, swallowed hard, and walked toward the door. But just before she opened it, she stopped. Anthony. Yeah. Her voice was quieter now. Do you think we ever really knew each other? I stood. I think I knew you, I said. I just didn't realize you were wearing someone else's face. She left. No slamming. No parting shot. Just the soft click of a door being pulled shut behind her. I stood there for a long time. And for the first time in months, the silence didn't feel like tension. It felt like peace. There's a moment after every storm where you realize the worst of it isn't the thunder or the wind. It's the silence that follows. That eerie stillness where everything looks the same, but nothing is. You walk the same rooms, drive the same streets, wear the same clothes. But you're someone else now. A version of yourself you didn't ask for. That was me 2 months after Ashley walked out of the house for the last time. Technically, she didn't even live there anymore. The paperwork had gone through fast, faster than I expected. Her name was off everything but the memories. I boxed those up on a Sunday, along with the wine glasses she liked and the books she never finished reading. Turns out heartbreak doesn't always look like crying on the floor. Sometimes it looks like standing in your garage at 2 a.m., trying to decide whether to keep the holiday decorations or throw them all away just to prove a point. I kept them, not for nostalgia, because I paid for them, and starting over doesn't mean burning every shred of your past, just the rotten parts. Funny thing is, once you stop hoping someone will change, they lose all their power. Ashley tried texting a few times. Random little things. Wants to ask about a jacket she left behind. Wants to share a photo of a cat that used to sleep on our porch like that somehow meant we were still connected. I didn't reply. I was already gone. Denver took some getting used to. The altitude made me dizzy the first week, and the city was colder than I remembered. But the new job? Solid. Project manager at a logistics tech firm. Smart people, simple problems, decent coffee. No drama. I rented a 1-bedroom downtown. Exposed brick, tall windows, loud neighbors. It wasn't quiet like the house, but it didn't need to be. I wasn't trying to recreate my old life. I was building something new, something honest. Some nights I'd find myself walking around the block just to move. Not thinking, not planning, just moving. There's something healing about walking with no destination. Like telling the universe, I'm still here, and I'm not waiting anymore. And that's the thing, I stopped waiting. Stopped waiting for an apology that wasn't coming. Stopped waiting for her to call crying. Stopped waiting to understand why. Because you never really get answers. You get excuses. You get half-truths. You get, it wasn't supposed to happen like this. But the why never really matters. People cheat because they want something they can't name, and they're too cowardly to admit it. They want to feel different, so they find someone else and convince themselves it's love. But it's not love. It's escapism with good lighting and flattering lies. Ashley didn't cheat because I was boring or distant or unavailable. She cheated because she thought she deserved more without having to give more. And when she got caught, she thought I'd give her what she really wanted, pity, a chance to blame the marriage instead of herself. I didn't. That was my revenge. Not the dinner party. Not the open house. Not even the calm way I told her I was done. No, the real revenge was giving her nothing. No tears. No begging. No battle. Just nothing. She didn't know what to do with that. I heard through the grapevine. Mutual friends. Old coworkers. That things with Caleb fizzled fast. No big drama. Just your standard ghosting after the first few real-world weeks together. Apparently, he went back to his ex. Or maybe another, what if, with fewer emotional receipts. Ashley moved in with a friend for a while, then got her own place in the same part of Columbus we used to laugh about being two chain restaurants suburban. Life has a sense of humor that way. A few weeks ago, Kara from the dinner party called. She and Peter were visiting Colorado and wanted to meet up. I said sure. We got lunch. Talked about work, travel, stupid reality shows we pretend we don't watch. They asked how I was doing. I said, lighter. Not better. Not great. Just lighter. Peter raised his glass. To weight you don't carry anymore. I like that. The truth is, you never go back to who you were before someone betrays you. That version of you dies a quiet death. But if you're lucky, if you're honest, the version that comes next is stronger. Not colder. Not bitter. Just less willing to accept crumbs and call it love. I still believe in love. That's the irony. I don't blame love for what happened. I blame two people. One who lied and one who let it slide for too long. That second one was me. But I've retired from that role. From now on, I ask the real questions. I pay attention to the pauses, not just the words. And if someone ever starts smiling like they're trying to hide something, I don't convince myself I'm imagining it. I don't need another lesson. Last weekend, I went hiking alone up in Boulder. Got to the top, just as the sun started setting. No poetic epiphany. No movie moment realization. Just me, sitting on a rock, breathing in cold air and letting it hurt a little. And then I smiled. Because I'd made it out. And because sometimes the best kind of closure is knowing you didn't shatter. You sharpened. Subscribe to the channel